Good evening. Apologies for the delay. When we're ready, we'll get underway, Carver.
Gareth, first of all, what kind of game do you think it's going to be tomorrow? Do you think it's going to be cagey, or is it going to be two teams just going all out for the win?
No, I think that both teams are tactically always well prepared, and both teams have a brilliant opportunity to get to a semi-final. So, for certain, I think both countries will be looking to try and win the game. How you approach that, it's 95 minutes or maybe a bit more, and you've got to get every part of that game right. But there's some very good players on show, and a full house. It's a great game to be involved in.
What did you learn from playing against Croatia in the World Cup semi-finals in Russia?
Well, we've obviously played them twice in the last few months, and we know their style of play. We know their preferences, the areas that they build up. We know areas that we think we can try to exploit. And it's two really evenly matched teams. Both games after 90 minutes have been draws. I think there's been periods in both of those matches where each team's had the upper hand. So we've got to put all the things together tomorrow and make sure we back up our last few performances, which have been really healthy, and finish the calendar year from an England perspective on a real high.
Do you think you're a better side now than you were 4 months ago in Moscow?
I think we've learned with every experience that we've had, and we've added more depth to the squad in terms of some more young players emerging, more competition for places. We've had a slight change of system, which has also added something different, so we've got some flexibility in how we can play. So we're always improving, and I think in those 5 matches that you've seen since the summer, what we haven't done is sat on our laurels and said, okay, we're happy with what we did at the World Cup and that's it for the year. We'll look forward to the European Championships. We've wanted to keep improving, and I think the players have shown that mentality as well.
The permutations tomorrow could be quite complicated. What have you told the players about what they need to do tomorrow? Have you gone through all the different scenarios of what it would mean?
No, we want to win the game. Simple as that. I'm not concerned with anything else. I don't see us, if it's 0-0 with 5 minutes to play, keeping the ball in the corner to try and stay in the group. We want to try and go to a semi-final, and we've got to do everything we can to make that happen.
Harry, just turning to you, what are your memories of that night in Moscow? I mean, you had that chance to make it 2-0. Have you thought about that a lot since that night?
Well, yeah, of course. I've always said, as a striker, whenever you miss a chance, you obviously have to forget about it as quick as possible during the game and be ready for the next one. But yeah, it hurts. Obviously, any semi-final, any big game that you lose, you always think about what you could have done better. And there's not many bigger games than a World Cup semi-final. So yeah, of course, don't think about it as much anymore. But I'm just trying to focus on each game as they come along, and we know Croatia are a great side, and we played them obviously out there, and it was a difficult experience, a strange experience, but I thought we played pretty well. So for us, it's about trying to win the game tomorrow and get to another semi-final.
You'll be coming up against Luka Modric again, obviously somebody you know very well. He's won so many awards this year. Do you think he's been the best player in the world this year?
I think he's definitely been up there for sure, yeah. Obviously played a little bit with Luka when I was a younger kid at Spurs, and I think everyone knows now how good a player he is, and he's been doing it year after year, so he deserves all the awards he's getting, and yeah, he's been fantastic this year. Hopefully he might have a quiet night tomorrow and we can win the game, but yeah, if he goes on to win whatever awards there are to win for the rest of the year, then he fully deserves them.
We had a press conference with Wayne Rooney a few days ago when he was talking about his goal scoring record, and he said he thought that you could break that record one day. Do you think that's possible? Is that a long-term target for you?
Well, yeah, it's definitely possible, but it's still a fair bit away. I don't like to kind of set my targets that far ahead in the future because a lot of things can happen. So, we'll see over the next few years how many goals I've got, and hopefully I'm still fit and healthy and still getting picked by the manager. And but it's definitely something that's achievable, but not something I'm thinking about too much right now.
And Gareth, do you think you might have a slight advantage tomorrow just because Croatia played in such a tough game on Thursday night?
I don't think it works that way. In the summer they had extra time twice, and people were saying similar things. They're a team who have tremendous spirit and physical resilience. And similarly, we went to Spain last month and we'd played in Croatia. Spain had a friendly in Wales where they'd rested a lot of the team, and that didn't play out that way either. So you have to perform at your highest level and make sure that we're ready for the game and take care of our own performance. It's not about what advantage we may or may not have. It counts for nothing on the day if you don't perform.
Does it make your job a tiny bit easier that even Rakitic is missing?
Well, he's a top player with brilliant experience, but they also have very good replacements. Vlasic came on the other day, Kovacic was on the bench, so their midfield is very strong. We've got to play extremely well to try and create against them and play without the ball with really good detail and pressure to limit what they're capable of doing.
Has it been even tougher to pick a side for tomorrow, considering how well some of the players played on Thursday night? Is it going to be difficult to leave some of them out tomorrow?
Yeah, it's becoming increasingly difficult to pick a squad and increasingly difficult to pick a team, and that's a really good sign because we have competition for places. Some young players who've emerged since the summer, and even with missing Kieran Trippier, Harry Maguire from the squad from the summer in particular, young players have come through and done really well in those positions and in other positions. So the only way to avoid complacency and keep driving performances, I believe, is to have that competition. And the team that played the other night did exceptionally well given their lack of experience and the fact that we'd only had a couple of days to work together. And equally, they were really well supported by the players who didn't play, and that feeling of togetherness and spirit is what we have to take into tomorrow. Croatia, we know, have that. We have to more than match that and play with real quality to win the game.
Last question before we move on to Gareth.
Just injury-wise, is everyone fully fit? Based on Joe Gomez and Luke Shaw.
Yeah, everybody's trained today, so we always have to assess everything after training, but everybody is trained. So at the moment we've got full squad to pick from.
Gareth, it must be, in terms of physically assessing what team you have, a big advantage that you have been able to rotate your squad ahead of this game.
I think given the number of games our players have had and the short summer, it was important for us to be able to prioritise games from our perspective and make sure that loading wise we had some players who'd missed some football or some players who were coming back from injuries that we wanted to manage through the game the other night. So across this 4 or 5 month period we've had the players a lot, and we've put big demands on them, so this week it's been good to balance that off, but that only becomes important if we play with the right energy and tempo and tactical awareness in tomorrow's game.
And you're probably ahead of this game not want commentators speculating that Croatia could be more tired after they used that as an incentive at the World Cup.
No, I think they've got some outstanding athletes and they've got a very resilient mentality. So we know the pride they have in playing for their country. We've seen that firsthand. We saw it again the other night in Spain with the late winning goal and the celebrations that followed. But we're also proud. We shouldn't lose the game because we're less proud of playing for our country, because that wouldn't be the case. So in the end we have to play well, and we have to tactically be right, be in the right positions with and without the ball, and make sure that we make the chances that we create count.
Harry, Luka Modric has confessed that the team were sapped of energy and emotionally sapped after that World Cup, and that led to that 6-0 defeat to Spain. He now says the team are feeling much fresher and the results coming through. Are the senior players that went all the way through that third place playoff feeling a lot fresher than they did at the start of this season?
Well, yeah, it's always tough after a summer like that. You spend a lot of emotions physically, mentally, and obviously the Premier League wasn't that far around the corner either, so you have to then get right up for that. So there's always a period where you're kind of just getting back into it. And yeah, we're at a stage of the season now where you're probably as fit as you're going to be throughout the season, and yeah, we all feel fresh and healthy. Training's been great, a lot of intensity this week. So yeah, we're ready to go tomorrow, and like I say, hopefully we can get a win.
There's a nice moment of you watching back Jesse Lingard's goal on the bench on the laptop. What was it like watching that, and how much does it make you itch to get back in there, because you're not a happy person sat on the bench?
No, of course, every player wants to be on the pitch, and yeah, watching Jesse's goal, it's a fantastic goal, and it was I've seen him do that before. We all see him do that, obviously, in the Panama game. So yeah, we got some great players. It was kind of great to watch from the side and see a lot of youth, a lot of energy on the pitch, and people not afraid to take players on 1v1. So like Gareth touched on earlier, it's great competition for us sitting on the bench to know that there's players ready to take our place if we fall behind. So yeah, I'll be obviously itching to play tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to wearing the shirt again.
Dejan Lovren got somewhat derided when he spoke to us post-match and said after the defeat of England, if we won the World Cup, I have to be considered one of the best defenders in the world. But after that performance against England, when many were hoping he'd feel the pressure, make a mistake, how do you rate him? He was saying that Ramos gets more credit because when he plays against Real Madrid, people don't notice his mistake. Comparing the two, are they equals in the game?
That's not for me to compare them to. Obviously, I think Ramos, his record speaks for itself, the amount of trophies he's won and the amount of big games he's played in. So yeah, of course, Lovren is another fantastic defender, and I look forward to going up against him again tomorrow. So it's a matter of opinion. Obviously, he has his opinion. Some players are more outspoken than others, but yeah, from my point of view, it's not to judge them, it's to focus on myself and my team.
After sticking the elbow in against Spain, he's promised another fiery encounter against England. Is that a threat?
I don't think it's a threat. I just think they're going to want to win the game as much as we are. So like I touched on earlier, it's important that we don't kind of get caught up in anything surrounding the game. We're focusing on our job and what we need to do, and we know we're more than capable of winning the game if we get everything right. So it's down to us to go and do that.
The Croatia coach has said today that Jordan Pickford is one of the best keepers in the world at playing out from the back. How difficult is he to get past?
Yeah, no, he's a great goalkeeper. He's a good lad as well. We have a good bit of banter throughout the camps. So I still keep telling him he's dragged to me for the first goal against Spain was not meant, but he's adamant that he meant it. So yeah, strikers and goalkeepers always have a bit of banter throughout the week. So but Jordan's a fantastic keeper, and he's been showing that obviously in the summer and this season with his club as well.
From Callum Wilson and Jadon Sancho's performance as a leader that's so often relied on to supply goals, does that give you a bit of satisfaction and reassurance that there are people to come off the bench to support you now?
Well, it's great. I think they both played very well in the game in midweek. Jadon's very good 1v1, great skill, great agility to take players on, and what impresses me most about him is his decision making for such a young age. So he's done great since he's been in the camp with us, and yeah, it was delighted for Callum as well. Obviously, as a striker, I always say you have a few chances in a game, and then he took probably the hardest one out the lot, and I know what it's like to score in your England debut. It's a moment he'll never forget for the rest of his life. So it was great for him to to come off and see a smile on his face and for him to be happy with his performance.
Last one before we pass the mic around.
It was such a strong performance away to Croatia. How much did that bolster the side, and how frustrating was it not to be able to do it in front of your family, not to be able to do it in front of the fans? How much is that an incentive to go to Wembley and have the potential to win this Nations League match?
Well, yeah, when it's a great opportunity playing at home in front of hopefully 80-odd thousand people to reach a semi-final. It's a massive incentive for us to go and win. So we're looking forward to the game. We're looking forward to the atmosphere, and like I said earlier, it's down to us to kind of make everyone proud and reach a second semi-final in a year that's been fantastic for us.
Gary, just set the camera here. So 3 games against Croatia in 4 months. One is a World Cup semi-final, and tomorrow a decisive game in Nations League. Do you think it's fair to say that there is a positive rivalry between the two squads?
Yeah, I think we've proved ourselves across the year to be 2 of the best teams in the world this year. So at the moment, Croatia have that advantage that they beat us in extra time in the semi-final. We've got huge respect for them, their players, their coach, their mentality. But also we've got belief that we're improving and we're learning all the time, and people can see how hungry we are to succeed. So we've got great motivation ahead of tomorrow's match.
Okay, pass the mic along the row there to the gentleman.
Thank you, Stipe Antonijević, Nova TV from Croatia. Mr. Southgate, even before the semi-finals World Cup, Croatia weren't the happiest opponent for England. Croatian fans who are traveling to Wembley are calling for a 2007 repeat when Croatia beat England 3-2. Slaven Bilic was the manager, which kicked out England from the Euro 2008. How well do you remember that game, and are you afraid it could happen again?
Well, I remember the game. I remember Slaven having a fantastic impact with the team, and some of the players that are still playing for them were around at that time. So that's why we have so much respect for a lot of those senior players in particular. But that game has no bearing on tomorrow's game. We have a completely new team. Completely new mindset. We're trying to break barriers down and play in a different way, different style, and we're getting better all the time. So we're looking forward to the challenge tomorrow.
What do you see as Croatia's weakest, and what as Croatia's strongest link today?
Well, we know that we've talked already about some of the midfield players, their experience, their quality, their experience of big matches. They have strong attacking wingers in likes of Rebic or Perisic, Kramaric if he plays wide. So they have lots of strengths, and we have to be prepared to defend really well as a team, not just as a back four. And then, like any team, there are always areas you look to try and exploit. So we've got to make sure that our attacking players are of a high level. We've got some really good attacking players who are in good form, looking forward to the game, and it promises to be. I'm really excited by the game because I think it's going to be a really good one to watch.
One more last question.
Mr. Kane, a question for you. I don't know if you've seen Croatia's game against Spain Thursday, but the second half was really total football. It was 5 goals. It could have been 5 more. Do you expect Croatia to play in that way, considering the both teams are looking for a victory and going through the semi-finals, or you are expecting a game maybe a little more defensive in the first half?
Well, it's hard to say really. I don't think both teams are going to go out in the first 10 minutes and try and win the game. We both know it's a game of 90-95 minutes. So yeah, we'll obviously like to score early and get ahead, but if that's not the case, then we'll be patient and play the way that we've been learning over the last few years. So of course, if it gets towards the end of the game and it's 0-0, I'm sure both teams will be looking for the goal, and but it's about how we cope with that. how we're balanced when we're attacking and not getting caught on the counter attack. So we need to play like it's any other game and try and win.
Okay, thank you very much.